Hello folks, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to talk about why I canceled my pre-order for the Nikon Z6 Mark III, and I'm considering buying the ZV-10 Mark II as a Lumix user, and the ZV-10 Mark II is going to come out tomorrow, according to when I'm releasing this video, like today on Tuesday, 9th of July. So yeah, the main reason why I canceled my pre-order is for this new space where I'm in at this specific moment. This is basically the studio. It's like 11 meters square, so it's not super big. It's our first studio with me and my partner, and we need a smaller camera because the S5 Mark II-X is it's bigger for what we need. So we need a smaller and compact camera to just like mount it here on the desk table and just leave it there, and nobody will touch it. Just leaves there because we are both content creators, and she does it every day. I'm a little bit more on and off. I do more client work and YouTube mostly. So we just need a smaller camera that will just stay here. And that's one major reason why I just canceled the Z6 Mark III, because as it for now is not a camera that I really need. It was mostly for a future purposes, for a project that I will have next year, beginning of next year. So I can probably purchase it later on where there will be more discounts. And now just focus on building the studio because it's still pretty empty, and probably the audio will be even echoey because it's not treated yet. There is not much yet. As you can see, there are like a bunch of things on the floor. The wardrobe looks empty, and this wall looks pretty empty. Everything is pretty much here. It's just to be hanged on. So that's the main reason why. The other reason why is the dynamic range. So one of the reasons why I want to wait a little bit before purchasing it too is that I want to see what Lumix will do before the end of this year and see if our favorite loving camera, the Lumix S1H Mark II, it's coming out, because I'm really looking forward for that camera because I just love Lumix gear and Lumix cameras. So I just don't want to change completely system at the moment, especially because I have even the Samyang 35 to 150 to 2.8 coming in August too. So I'm pretty excited for that lens. I will talk about it a little bit later in another video. So yeah, there is actually the one for Nikon already out by Tamron, I believe. But I just don't want to leave the Lumix ecosystem. I just fall in love with that system since I basically moved into it about 4 years ago from the Canon R6. And the dynamic range, it's a little bit of a bummer for me in the Nikon Z6 Mark II, just because it's basically the same kind of dynamic range that the R6 has, and I love it, and you can work with it and everything, but I don't know if I can move back to a camera that doesn't have at least 12 plus dynamic range, because I just got used to the Lumix sensor, even the S5, which cost now like $1,005 more. Like, yeah, you can find it for 800 euros. If you look, the Lumix S5 II and the S5 IIX, you can find them for a price of an FX3 now. So it's kind of a dilemma for me, and that's one of the reasons why I just canceled my pre-order. I just want to see what Lumix will do, and I want to just focus in the studio at the moment and bring in the gear that I need here first, for the moment that I'm waiting to see if something else will come. But then the question, of course, was sort normally if you think of buying the ZV-10 Mark II, you are actually going into another system. And then you're right. But since it's a camera that is just going to sit here in the studio, I'm not gonna buy a new bunch of gear. I would just need a lens, which for a crop sensor camera in the Sony lineup of cameras and lenses, there are plenty. There is the Viltrox 16 1.8, the Sigma 16 1.8 that they cost between 300 euros and 500 euros. And there is there was, I think Samyang has like in 12 2.1.4 or no 12 f2, and then Sony itself has an 11 1.8. Then they have what 16 1.8, which are like this small of lenses, and they don't cost that much. They cost like 600 euros. So I just need one lens, which a crop sensor camera with so 1.5 or 1.6. Let's see the 20, the let's say like the 12, for example, millimeter one, and you multiply it for 1.5, it's an 18 millimeter, and you have an 18 1.4 lens, more or less. Is a crop sensor camera, so it's a little bit different, the aperture, but still, that's it. I don't need anything. I'm filming now with the S5 Mark II X with the adapted EF 16 to 35 2.8, and it's sitting there, 16 millimeter, pretty wide enough for me, and I maybe will like it a little bit tighter, but it doesn't matter. So I don't really need anything. I just need one lens that is maximum 20 millimeters, and then aperture minimum f2 or f2.8, or maximum f2 f2.8, and I'm done. I don't need anything else. So that's why the ZV-10 Mark II. Plus, it's amazing because it's gonna have 4K, or the rumors say it's gonna have a 4K oversampling 5.6 K, so pretty sharp, like pretty much the S5 Mark II X. Is gonna have most probably the S-Log 3, which I've learned already to color grade it, so I'm not really having any issue there. And it's basically the same sensor as the FX30, which many creators are loving it. And I have even a friend who have used it on a project, and he told me it's amazing. And he sent me a footage. I cannot share it, unfortunately, so I can test it out. And I did, and it was cool. It's beautiful image. And of course, I'm not a huge fan of sunny colors, but I'm a huge fan of big, like the sensor, because it's quite good dynamic range, and it's quite good image and quite nice. And with the little color grading, which I love doing, I can basically reach this kind of colors. Plus, I will most probably create a lot that will permit me to match it to the S5 Mark II X. And that's another point, because now finally with this camera, or finally Sony will bring in their budget-friendly camera the possibility to actually bring LUT into the camera. So like the real-time LUT function that the S5 Mark II and the S5 Mark II X have. It's said that the ZV-10 Mark II will have it too. So that's pretty good. I don't care about IBIS or Catalyst Browse or all of these things, because as I said, it's gonna just sit there on my table. And one question will start easily to people is that why not the S9? Well, it has 10 minutes record limit, and apparently it's not made for creators like me. That's the answer that every YouTuber apparently is giving on internet. It's used for fun. It's not used for this kind of content. I'm here talking and I'm almost at 10 minutes. So I don't know. My partner films for like an hour sometimes and then chop them. So I imagine for her, I was talking to her, I imagine for her every 10 minutes to stop it and to stop it and to stop it. That wouldn't work for her, especially because she loves the open gate because she use it. She used like multiple formats. So yeah, it's a bummer. One thing that I hope the ZV-10 Mark II could have, it's open gate. I don't know how difficult it's for these camera companies to do open gate, but apparently it's too difficult because nobody except from Sony, except from Lumix and Fuji and Blackmagic are doing it. So yeah, I really don't know how difficult it is to do this thing, but apparently it's too difficult for them to invest in it for some reason. But hey, thank you for hearing me blabbering here. Share a comment down below on what are your thoughts on what I just talked about. Let's have a chat and share point of views. Be kind, take good care of yourself. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bon voyage.